All right, so good morning, everybody. My name is Jesse, and I am with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. If you're joining us for the first time, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. And I want to do a special shout out to all our teachers. So last year was the weirdest year to be a teacher ever, weirdest year to be a student ever, and yet we still did 550 plus broadcasts featuring scientists and explorers around the world. So thank you so much if you're joining us for another epic school year. If your kids are back in the class, if you are back in the class, welcome back. It's so exciting to have you, and I cannot wait to start another year of adventure. So this is our first week back as an organization. We went a little crazy in September. We've got 50 programs between the 13th and the 30th. So if you haven't checked us out yet on exploringbytheseat.com, please go to that website. All sorts of great programs to come. But today is one of my very favorite programs, one of my very favorite organizations we partner with. Last year, we did over 20 programs with the Toucan Rescue Ranch in Costa Rica, and they work to rescue, rehabilitate, and re-release the amazing wildlife in one of the most special, unique, and biodiverse areas on this planet. So today, we're going to be joined by Daniel, walking us around the Toucan Rescue Ranch, and specifically, we're going to focus in on baby sloths, the coolest, cutest animals in the world. So I can't wait to turn it over to Daniel to dive in. And without further ado, thank you so much for joining, and let's get underway. Daniel, take us away.
All right. Hello, everyone. So my name is Daniel. Nice to meet you. Just as Jesse said, I have a bachelor's degree in biology, and just recently, well, like 5 months ago, I joined the sloth team to become one of the sloth rehabilitators here in Toucan Rescue Ranch. So again, just like Jesse mentioned, we are a rescue center. We are not a zoo, so we focus on the rescue, rehabilitation, and release of these animals back in the wild. Right now, I'm in the public site, but we're gonna walk to the rehab area. I just wanted for you guys to see what's it like, because like Jesse said, we're gonna focus today on the sloths, but we have many other animals that you can also see in other sessions that we're gonna do with exploring, and also we have our own virtual tours if you guys want to join. So now I'm gonna switch the camera so you guys can see what's in front of me. So just give me 1 second. Let's see. Ooh.
It wants to work. While it's thinking about it,
There you go.
There we go. Welcome to all our teams on YouTube too. We got a whole bunch of folks in Montana, Ontario, Florida, Pennsylvania today, as in addition to our live class. So a ton of people today, which is great.
All right. Perfect. All right. Welcome, everyone. Well, today's a beautiful, beautiful day, as you can see. Really sunny, quite warm. It's about 80 degrees. That's as warm as it gets here in the mountains. So that way you guys can feel like you're here. It's really humid. So yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful place to see the sloths. Oh, sometimes you need to get this. And we're going into a restricted area. So we're going into the rehabilitation area where basically no one is allowed to come in here, at least visitors, but you guys are. So that's part of the exclusive of this experience. And the baby sloths are right over here, just across this grass. So today we're going to see the two finger sloths. They're sleeping. I mean, they're sloths. That kind of like makes sense. So just give me 1 second. And here they are. All right. So over here we have two. So we have this one. This one right here is Kairos. And he's on top of Helga. So Helga's right there. That's her face. So if you ever seen a sloth, even if you heard about sloths, you probably know that they're really, really slow. Well, that's usually the case. But these guys, not so much. They tend to be slow most of the time. However, they can be really, really fast. As an example, we have these trees, and let's say that we put a branch that crosses those trees or they connect those trees. They can easily go, if they really, really want to, from that place, well, from that tree to the other tree in a matter of 10 seconds, if not less. So they can be really fast, and also they're really aggressive, but I'm gonna go over that later. The sloths, they are herbivores. That means that they eat leaves. So we classify the animals based on their diets, right? So we have animals are herbivores, insectivores, frugivorous, omnivores. And if you don't know what it means, well, there's always a clue. And the clue is right in the front of the word. So, for example, if animals are frugivorous, frugivorous is right there. The clue is in the front, so fruit. And then we have animals that are insectivores, so insectivores or insects. But these guys, they don't eat a lot of insects. They do sometimes, but the vast majority of the diet will consist of leaves. So they're herbivores. And that's the reason why they're so slow. A lot of people think that sloths are lazy, that they don't want to move around, that they just don't want to. They don't want to do anything. But in reality, is that they're just energy efficient. Their diet, like I mentioned, is leaves, and leaves they don't have a lot of carbs. Therefore, and that means that it doesn't have a lot of energy. So they don't get a lot of energy from their diet. And usually they will be really high up on the tree. They will hide really, really well, and they will move as less as possible to save energy, but also to try to camouflage. Obviously, because these cats are babies, they're not fully grown. They don't have that algae and moss that you would normally find on an adult sloth. But in adult sloths, you will find this algae and moss that grows on and in their fur. It helps them to get camouflage. So it's a really amazing tool that they have, and it's what we call a symbiotic relationship, where the algae and the moss they get a home, and the sloths they get to camouflage. So a lot of people that come here physically to Toucan Rescue Ranch, sometimes they tell us, "Well, I've been here for 2 weeks and I haven't seen a sloth, so I'm coming here because I really want to see a sloth." Most of the time, I tell them, "Well, you probably saw a sloth, it's just that you didn't notice it because they're so good at camouflaging." Now, you might be wondering, why are these guys here? Well, they are orphans, and sadly, we receive um, slots all the time for many, many reasons. But there are three main reasons why we receive them. The first one is, oh, by the way, we have Anne right over here. She's going up. Hi, Anne. So the slots come here because they get electrocuted, not by lightning, but by power lines. So sadly in Costa Rica, pretty much all the power lines are up in the air, and they have no type of isolation at all. So when you touch them, you will get electrocuted. And that's what happens to a lot of sloths. They confuse it with a vine. They think that it's part of the branch, especially when they want to cross a road. And because sloths are found in both forests, but also in semi-urban areas where we live, then there's a lot of power lines alongside with the forest. So they touch it and then they get electrocuted. Sometimes they will survive, and sometimes they will die. And when that happens, if they have a baby, if the baby survives, then someone pick them up. Let's say like the MINAE, that is the environmental agency or police of the country, and they are gonna be the ones that bring it to us, or also people. So we receive calls from pretty much almost every day of people that find a lot of animals, including baby sloths. And what we do is that we put them in a whole rehab process that it takes a long time. Just give me 1 second. Just gonna sit right over here. All right. Hey, Ann. Hey, what you doing? Are you gonna cuddle with them again? So they go through a whole process that we like to call preschool, high school, university. And when they get to university, is when they are released back in the wild. It takes quite a long time. It can take up to 2 years or 1 year and a half for them to be completely released. And that is because they grow really, really slow, but also because we want to make sure that they get the right survival skills that they need to survive in the wild. Um, so what we do, at least in the high school or in high school, is that we put them in this type of enclosure or place. So you can see that we have a bunch of natural, real trees, so they get to climb. We have vines that connect them and branches. They get to go all the way up. There's actually one sloth right there, Amalur. She's hiding really, really well, and she's really high up. And that's what we want. We want them to learn how to camouflage, how to climb and go all the way to the canopy of the trees, because that's where they're going to be the more safe. Well, if they stay on the ground, they can get attacked by predators. So it's a really, really long process for sure. And the really small babies, the ones that are about a few months old, like a month or 2 months old, they're in preschool. And let's say with Leslie Howe. Leslie Howe is the founder of Toucan Rescue Ranch. She was born in the United States, but she got raised here in Costa Rica, specifically in Osara, in Guanacaste. It's a beautiful place in the Pacific coast. She got in love with all the birds and the animals around. And then in 2004, she decided to create this place to help at first toucans. But then in 2007, everything changed when we received our first sloth, Millie. And ever since, we've been receiving sloths every single year, and loads of them. So they stay with Leslie, at least the tiny babies. And then once they're about 4 to 6 months old, then they move to elementary, where the sloth rehabilitators they take care of them, and also the vets. And then they move to high school, and then they go to the release side in the Caribbean side of the country. These guys are really sleepy, while you can see that Anne, she's exploring. So that's exactly what we want. So um, we pretty much operate thanks to donations. So we would not be able to do this if it wasn't for your support, guys. Sadly, because of the pandemic, as we all know, the amount of visitors and tourists that we have received have dropped a lot. And you can go to our website; it's right there, Toucan Rescue Ranch, to find ways to how to donate. And we also have symbolic adoptions, where you can symbolically adopt one of these sloths and help them. And help us. So that money goes directly towards that specific animal and the rehabilitation. We're not gonna go, at least not today, in the clinic. But in the clinic, we have two sloths right now and a bunch of other animals that are going through treatments, and we give them medicine and a lot of different things for them to start getting those wounds healed from electrocutions. Another thing that I meant that I didn't mention and why we received them is because they get hit by cars, especially when there are no trees overlapping the road. So what do if they want to cross? Well, they need to cross on the ground. They cannot go up in the trees, especially if there are no trees connecting. So they cross, and people here in Costa Rica, I need to admit it, are a bit crazy on the road. People are not careful in here. And sadly, these guys they get hit by cars, and or usually it's the mom, and then the babies are the ones who survive. And then the other reason why we receive them is because they get attacked by dogs. In Costa Rica, we have a lot of dogs without an owner just going around. And also, people have dogs in big properties, especially in the mountains or in rural areas like the ones where we are. And they don't have them on a leash, or they don't keep them inside. So during the night, if the dog is sleeping and he hears a sloth coming down to the toilet or to the bathroom, then it will attack him. But and that takes me to what I wanted to talk to you guys about. That is how aggressive these guys can be. If a dog attacks a narrow sloth, usually the dog is the one that gets the worst part of the fight, because these species can be so aggressive. And it's not like they're attacking, they're defending themselves and probably their babies as well. So they will use those claws that you can see right there. They're incredibly sharp. And obviously, as they grow older, those claws will grow. Um, and they can defend themselves using that, but also their teeth. They have canine teeth in the front of their mouth, and also they have molars that they use to chew the leaves with. But the canine teeth are really, really sharp, as sharp as a knife, and they always stay sharp. And it's not like they sharp those teeth to just bite humans. They just keep it sharp to eat the leaves. Um, but if you get bitten by a sloth, and thankfully I don't say this by experience, they said that it's one of the most painful bites that you can get. And it's because when they bite, they grind. because they're used to that movement when they eat leaves. So when they will bite, they will grind, and that makes the wound even worse. And also, they have so much bacteria on their teeth. There's a really high chance it will give you a serious infection. So we always need to be careful. And that's the reason why we move them with buckets. We don't touch them unless it's completely necessary. We don't cuddle with them. We don't hug them. And also, not only because of their aggressiveness, but also because they can get stressed really, really easily. Stars, they have that permanent smile. They have that permanent face expression. They don't change it like other animals, like monkeys, for example. Um, so you will not see any sign of aggression or stress, at least directly from their face. You will see this cute, adorable face, and that's it. So sadly, there's a lot of people around Costa Rica and sadly in the world in zoos where they let you touch, pet, or take a selfie with a baby sloth. But what you don't know and what you're not seeing in that moment is that that sloth is probably getting really, really, really stressed. So, oh, slothy on. Um, so imagine that maybe some of you guys have pets, probably some of you don't. But imagine that you have a cat or a dog, and then you open the door of your house and you let 80 people come in every single day to touch your dog. Although your dog or cat might be happy with the first few people, he will get stressed and he will go back to his room and with you after probably the 10th person. Well, it's kind of the same principle, but a bit more to the extreme because these guys are wild animals. So we always tell people to not touch them because not only they can be aggressive, but also they can get stressed. If by any reason you see a sloth crossing the road, if you come down to Costa Rica or go to South America, let it cross. Stop the traffic if you can and let it cross. Do not touch it. Because also they have beetles and moths. And you will get full of them. But those beetles and moths that they have in their fur is another symbiotic relationship. We believe that these sloths can get some nutrients out of the poop and feces of the beetles and moths that live in their fur. And also, the beetles and moths they get at home. So that's a perfect and a good symbiotic relationship. Oh, sorry about the audio. Hey, about the radio. So, oh my God, look at Kairos. Isn't he looking beautiful? So another really interesting thing about the sloths is their digestive system. They take a really, really long time to digest their food and also to go to the bathroom. I believe that Anne might go to the bathroom right now. It's looking like it. So we might see that. With babies, it happens a bit more often. They go to the bathroom at least every 2 3 days. However, when they're adults, they only go to the bathroom once a week, which is really crazy when we go over there, right? When you compare it with humans. And a whole meal, at least with an adult in a wild, it can take a whole month to digest. So it takes a whole month from that meal to go from the mouth all the way when they poop. And also, when they go to the bathroom, they will lose 20% of their whole body weight. So let's say that a sloth that usually that's how much they weigh, at least when they're adults, 10 pounds. When they go to the bathroom, they can lose up to 2 pounds. And they can hold up to 2 liters of pee as well. So sometimes you will see a sloth and they might look fat, but they're not fat. It's just that they're a little bit bloated. And so that's how we know that with the babies, for example, we just see a big belly, and their belly might be firm. It's like, yep, they need to go to the bathroom, and then they go. I think that Anne is trying to, but we'll see. And also, when they go to the bathroom, they make this adorable face. They just close their eyes, and they have this face of just like, oh, this expression like, oh my god, finally. And I think that she's getting into the right position, but she's struggling a bit. With sloths, you need to have a lot of patience, a lot of it. I think that she's going to the bathroom, maybe. Let's see. Oh yeah, I can see some pee coming out. All right, there you go. You can see her face right there. She's definitely going to the bathroom. So she looks really, really relaxed, while Kairos is trying to be like, "Hey, what are you doing? I want to go and pee and poo with you." And that actually happens. When one sloth starts to poop, usually the other ones will follow. At least with the babies. These guys are solitary, so they don't stay around each other. It's just that right now they're together because they don't have the mom. They will usually stay with the mom for 2 years, but because they don't have the mom, they hug each other instead for comfort and for warmth. But as they're getting older and older and older, that's when they start to get more solitary, more, I wouldn't call aggressive, but a bit less social to each other. So now, Jesse, if you want to, then we can go ahead and open the space for some questions. You guys can ask whatever you guys want about the slots. All right?
Fantastic, Daniel. This is great. And by the way, for our audience, you guys are lucky. Out of our, I think 40 broadcasts, it's the second time we ever had a sloth go to the bathroom, and both times the other sloths like to crawl all over it. It's a riot.
Yeah. Oh, poop is coming out.
There we go. Before we dive in with Q&A, guys, what I'm going to do is open up a Kahoot quiz. We've been doing this all week to kick off the school year. So if you're live in a class, if you have your own devices, go to Kahoot.lt, use that game pin. If you're joining on YouTube, you can do that as well. We'll leave that up for a minute. What I'm going to do is, while we're talking about this, Daniel mentioned something earlier today about the Toucan Rescue Ranch website, and I will highlight that at the end of the broadcast as well. The largest single class donation we've ever had in our 5-year history at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants was to the Toucan Rescue Ranch. A class in Michigan raised over $620 to help protect the amazing wildlife that they got a chance to showcase today. Also worth noting that we've got a second program coming up on the 27th where we are going to get a chance to meet the birds of the Toucan Rescue Ranch. So hopefully you guys can check in with that as well. With that, I'm going to bring up our Kahoot quiz on the screen. If you guys are in, great. If you're not, you still got a little bit of time. But let me pull that up and we will get underway. Test your understanding a little bit, have a little fun, and then dive in with that question period. Lots of time for questions every time. So welcome into all 70 plus of you. Let's get underway, everybody. All right. Our Toucan Rescue Ranch first question. Sloths, 3, 2, 1. Let's do this thing. Maybe Daniel can help us if there's any questions that come up in a second. Where is the Toucan Rescue Ranch? Who was paying attention at the beginning? We got 4 answers. Colombia, Costa Rica, Brazil, or Panama? Who was paying attention?
I love that question.
It's a good question. I should have a question where it's like, find it on a map. We could do that next time.
Oh, yes, that's a good idea.
We're learning 2 more seconds. I bet Daniel knows. Let's see, 84 answers. Most of you got it right.
Yes.
Really good. A few of you tripped up by the other C name, but good job. All right, and there's a leaderboard.
Really good job.
The faster you answer, the more points you get. Carrying Lemming, currently with the lead. All right, quiz number 2. What's a big threat for sloths? We talked about this a little bit. So we've got all sorts of things for producing power here, or generating power, sending power. Windmills, solar panels, smokestacks, or electric wires. You guys are whipping in with these answers. Over 90 so far. 6 more seconds. We also talked about cars. We talked about dogs. We talked about selfies. All these things can change. Over 100 answers. Most of you got it right. Electric wires.
Yes. Good job.
Good job, guys. One of the big ways that sloths get injured and one of the big things they have to do to help save them at the rescue ranch. All right, our scoreboard updates. Stellar echidna. I wish I was a stellar echidna. True or false? Baby sloths are the cutest thing in the world. This is a really tough question. Really tough. You got 7 seconds. 7 seconds. All right, there is a right answer here. 2 more. What do we think? All right. 12 of you say false. Okay, 12.
How could you?
All right, true was the right answer, of course. So Swift Duck now has the lead. And our final question before Q&A, how can you help protect sloths? Some of you are involved in my other programs. I have a pretty common answer with this one. So don't pose for or share animal selfies. Daniel talked about that. Buy sustainably sourced products, maybe, we don't know. Reduce your emissions or all of the above. 5 more seconds, folks. So many of you, 120 answers. Nice job, guys. So the answer is all of the above. So
good job.
Nice job. If you see people sharing animal selfies, don't share those. Don't retweet those posts. Don't put them on Instagram. Animals should be left in the wild, and in zoos and aquaria that are managed sustainably, you're not going to have that be an issue to begin with. You should always make sure we're respecting animals everywhere they are, and reducing emissions and buying sustainable products really help conserve all wildlife, not just in Costa Rica. But our number one winner, before we go to Q&A, way to go to Swift Duck. Way to go. Whoever Swift Duck is, good job. Congratulations and thanks, God. participating in the quiz. All right, Daniel, let's do that Q&A you promised. I'm going to start with our live classes. We've got 6 live groups with us today, a ton more on YouTube. I want to go to Miss Frahm's class first. They are joining us in Rochester, in Minnesota. Longfellow Elementary. Welcome in, guys. Let's unmute that mic, and you're good to go. Hey, Miss Frahm's class.
Hey.
Hello, everyone.
Hey. Welcome in.
Come on up. Come on up to the thing here. You can take your mask off real quick.
Hi. I love the enthusiasm.
Take your mask off. Go right up there. There you go.
What kind of sloth do you get the most?
Ooh, that's a good question. The one that we get the most is the 2-fingered. Or the 2-toed. We rarely get the 3-toed sloths. But we do sometimes, yeah. But the vast majority of the sloths we get are these species, right here, 2-fingered.
There's our rapid fire first answer to win the Q&A. Thanks, man. Great question. We're going to head down the road, also in Rochester, to Mr. Backus's 5th graders. Come on in. And hey, Mr. Backus class, welcome in, guys.
Hello, everyone.
Go for it. Do sloths make noise? Yeah.
Oh, yes, they do. So these guys, when they're adults and when they're really, really aggressive, they will hiss. And when they're babies and when they're crying, they will make a really interesting noise that it goes kind of like and that means that they're really stressed or they're calling for their moms. So yeah, they make noises, but not too much.
Very, very cool. Thanks for illustrating that. I always like when you do noises, and when we do the bird presentation, we'd like you to do that as well.
I will try my best.
All right. I want to head to Ontario now, where I am. To Cordis from Miss D's class. Just unmute that mic and come on in, guys. Hey. Yeah, come on. Hello.
So our question is, how old do sloths usually last?
Ooh, okay, that's a good one as well. So depending on the sloth, but this one right here that we're watching right now, the 2-fingered sloths, they can live up to 30 years in the wild, and even more in captivity. So that's a long, long time, 30 years.
Holy, pretty big for a small animal. Like that's unusual life expectancy for them. We were talking about big cats earlier today, and it was pretty similar. So that's really neat. Great question.
However, just very quickly, the 3-fingered sloths that you probably have seen in Zootopia, those ones they usually live for 15 years. So they live half of what these guys live. Okay. So it would depend on what sloths we're talking about.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're rolling along with these questions, guys. I'm going to go to Miss Johnston's in just a minute. I want to take a couple questions from YouTube and do a shout out to Julia from Miss Gamma's class in Markham, who was Swift Ducks, the winner of our quiz. Way to go, Julia. I want to head to, in fact, Miss Gamma's class too for a question. That's like your bonus for winning the quiz. How does moss grow on them, Daniel? The moss that's on their fur. How does that happen?
Ooh. Yeah, so they have a whole life cycle. So remember when I told you that these guys, they go to the base of the tree? Well, that's how they complete their life cycle. So when they poop, the moths and the beetles, they will lay their eggs in there, and then they will hatch as larvae. The larvae will feed on the poop. I know a bit, it's part of nature. And then they will fly to the sloth that is up in the tree. They will live there, and then they will die, and then they will go back again to lay their eggs, and that's their life cycle. So they lay their eggs on their poop, and then they fly back again when they're full grown.
What a unique and weird animal. I love every time we get a chance to talk sloth. This is very cool. All right, Ms. Johnson, just one more minute. I'm going to go to Montana now. We have so many people joining in Montana today. Welcome in Big Sky Country. Miss Frazier and Miss Cheryl's class, they want to know, they have a whole bunch of questions. How long does a sloth sleep, Daniel?
Ooh, that's a good question. So a long time ago, we used to believe that they used to sleep up to 20 or 22 hours. But recent research, like a few years back, we found out that these guys, they don't sleep as much as we think. They can sleep between 10 to 15 hours every single day. So not that much. Go like a cat.
Yeah. How cool.
Domestic cat, at least.
I wish I could sleep that long. I had like 4 hours last night. I was too excited about sloths.
Yeah, that would be amazing to sleep 10 hours, yeah.
Let's go to Stettler, Alberta. Welcome into Alberta, guys. Just unmute your mic in Miss Johnson's group and come on up. Hey, guys. Welcome in. Right.
Hi.
Hi.
Go ahead,
Hello.
How much baby sloths does a normal sloth have?
Ooh, so usually they will have only one baby. Sometimes you can have twins, but it's actually more of a thing than anything else. So yeah, they only have one baby. every year or every 2 years.
Awesome question, man. All right, one of the big questions we get at the sort of background of exploring by the seat of your pants is, can we sign up for multiple programs? Well, Miss Forsyth's class joining us in Bracebridge, Ontario is proof positive of that. They are our first, second, a double class of the whole year. So Miss Forsyth, your camera just went off as I'm talking about you, but hopefully you're in. And if you want to share a question, come on up. Let's see. Miss Forsyth, prove me wrong, grade 9s. We'll come back to you guys in a minute while we get those devices back on. I'm sorry if you're having any trouble. Instead, we'll head to Miss Lewis's class. And Miss Lewis's class joined us just after we got underway in Fullerton, California, where we wish we all were. Come on in, guys. Hey, third graders.
Good morning.
Hello, everyone. Hi.
Okay, my turn. Go ahead, sweetheart.
How many three-toed sloths do you have in captivity?
Yeah.
Well, right now we have only one. And then we have, let's see, we have around 30 of the other species, and we only have one of three-fingered.
Awesome. There we go, guys. We got a lot of questions about these double sloths, all these species. I love it. Good job, guys, paying attention. All right, I want to head to Miss Hiscox's class. They're grade 2s joining us in Thunder Bay, and they want to know, how high will sloths climb? Where are they going to?
Well, I don't have an actual number, but it could go several feet. For example, let's see. It's a bit hard to see. But you see those trees? Well, they're really, really tall. They're several feet high. They will go as high as that. They need to be, at least if you're asking like how high they will climb on a tree, they will go as high as they possibly can to be away from the predators. So they'll always be on the canopy, on the top of the trees. So they can go several feet. I would say more than 30 feet or so in some cases. So yeah, they're really good climbers.
Awesome, guys. All right. I love this question because it gets back to the anatomy of sloths and why they're so unique. So Miss Garcia wants to know, how long are sloths able to hang before they get tired?
Oh, well, they don't ever get tired from hanging. So that's a really good question, because their tendons and their muscles right there have kind of like a mechanism where they lock in place. So it's kind of like a lock. And we have found some sloths that they die in the trees and they still hang even when they're already passed away. So they don't make any effort by hanging upside down. So it's really, really cool. If we do that, we'll get tired in just a few minutes, depending on your condition. But yes, otherwise we'll have amazing abs, but not these guys.
I wish. It's sort of like a resting default state. It's like if you were to lie on the ground, you could lie on the ground indefinitely. There's nothing to stop you from doing that. The same
Exactly.
Like their claws are formulated. That's very cool. All right, we are whipping through these guys. I'm going to go back to Miss Frahm's class. If you guys want to unmute your mic, come on back up for a second question. You are good to go in Minnesota. Hi, everybody. I like people in the background that just wave like mad.
All right, go ahead.
How often do you guys get sloths?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, it will depend on the season. It will depend on the week. It will depend on the day. The vast majority of the times when we get a lot of babies is on the dry season, and that is because there are not a lot of leaves on the on the tree, so a lot of sloths tend to move a bit more, and that's when they get into accidents. But we receive them year round. Some weeks we might receive one, some weeks we might receive three, some a really unlucky or probably lucky week we're receiving even up to 5. That will be the extreme. So there's not an exact number or average because it always changes with sloths. With other animals, again, it will depend. For example, today we're receiving a kiskadee, and yesterday we just received a squirrel. So it will depend. It will depend on so many factors. If we get storms, for example, that will receive a bit more. So yeah, it depends on so many things.
I've always loved that question though. When we have the turtle hospital in Florida, they always talk about this too. It depends on the time of year, depends on what's happening in the world. But it's nice to have a facility that's able to accommodate no matter what you guys get in. And so kudos to you for all your really neat work.
Thank you.
All right, back to Minnesota. The students were ready in Mr. Backus's class. They were all set to go. Welcome back in, guys. Hey.
Do sloths fight for dominance?
Sorry, I didn't understand that. Jesse,
Yeah.
sorry, can you help me with that?
Yeah, do sloths fight for dominance? Great question.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear you. Yes, they do. They're really aggressive with each other, especially males. Like females that will not fight, but males that will compete for a female. So yes, they will fight, and also for territories. They're not that territorial unless there's a female that is in heat. So yeah.
Earlier, we talked about tigers being territorial, and I picture a fight between tigers and now a fight between sloths. Very different.
Very different.
All right, let's go to Miss D's class. Come on in, unmute that mic, and then we'll take a couple from YouTube before wrapping up with our live groups. Hey, guys.
Do sloths get angry when you wake them up?
That's a really good question. Yes, they do all the time. When it's time to give them milk, they will get really upset until they taste the milk, and they're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, when we have to wake them up for whatever reason, to feed them, to move them to a tree, or when they're in the clinic and we need to do a treatments, they will get really mad. Yeah.
If I didn't have the promise of coffee every morning, I'd be grumpy every day. So we don't have that option. All right. Let's take a couple more from YouTube, and then we'll wrap up with 2 more live class questions. Let's see. So many other good questions. Miss Gamma's class wants to know, do sloths live elsewhere in the world?
Yes, they do, but not everywhere. So sloths are restricted to the Americas. So you can find many other species in South America. For example, like in Brazil, Colombia, and the Amazon. You can also find them in Panama, Central America, like Nicaragua, Guatemala, Honduras. But yeah, you can find a lot of them, but only to the Americas, or in the Americas, sorry.
I love this question because I'm going to segue off it after you're done answering for the live sloths. But Ms. Hiscock's class wants to know, how big do sloths get and how strong are they?
So they can get really big. They can weigh up to 11 pounds or so. I know that doesn't seem too much, but they can be really big. I don't have anything to, well, I mean, it's a weird comparison, but they can get as big as that bucket, if not even bigger. Look at my hand. So that is quite big. And sorry, what was the other question?
No, how strong are they? Yeah.
Again, there's no way to measure this, but well, yeah, I guess, yeah, I can give an example. With the adult sloths, if they cut your finger with their claws and they do this, they can, with some sloths, they can break your finger. That's how strong they can be. That's how strong their claws are, and that's the reason why we need to be extremely careful when we handle them in the clinic. Yeah.
So we've got pretty small sloths nowadays, but I want every class, when you're done this broadcast, to look up something called Megatherium. This is a sloth that will stand and grab a tree like it was like 20 feet high. Unbelievable animal from not too long ago in the world's history. So we talked about ancient creatures, ancient mammals, and fossils the other day. Check out Megatherium. It'll blow your mind when you're done. All right.
And a note on that. So those sloths, they're actually the ones responsible, and we need to be thankful to them, even though they're extinct, sadly, for the avocados. Because they were the ones that spread avocados throughout the Americas. And then, sadly, we killed them all, and now we took over the avocados. So if it wasn't for the ancestors of the sloths, we would not have avocado toasts today.
And great guacamole. It's like half the fun.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go to Miss Johnston's class, and we'll wrap up with Miss Lewis's third graders in a minute. Miss Johnston, come on back up and take us away. Just unmute that mic. You go.
Go ahead, Rebecca. What colors do sloths come in?
Well, it will depend. So usually they're brown, but we have received other sloths that they're kind of like blonde. So we have one just recently. His name was Kronos, like the god of time. And he was like almost like blonde. He looked beautiful. And then we have other ones like Anne, that's just a bit more dark. So it will depend. It's kind of like us, you know, that some of us have darker skin, other people have lighter skin. So it will depend. So from dark brown to around almost golden, I will say. Sometimes, in rare occasions, it can be almost to a tone of white.
I love that you asked that question. We've had it a bunch of times from YouTube classes as well, so thank you so much to Miss Johnson, student. And we'll wrap up with Miss Lewis is back in California, third graders. They're all right at the camera. I love it, the enthusiasm. Hi, guys.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
Furry.
No.
Oh,
Are sloths?
Are sloths furry?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, they're really soft when they're babies. But when they're adults, they're not soft at all.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that hat, by the way. That was the coolest little thing. I love it. Guys, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much to our 6 live classes, over 7 more on YouTube. We've got people from all over North America joining today. This is what Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants is all about. So thank you so much for giving it such a fun program. Daniel, you were awesome as always. And what I want to highlight before we wrap up is everyone to check out toucanrescueranch.org when you're done. So many other educational opportunities, so many amazing ways to contribute to help sloths, like this beautiful one right on camera, and so much more. So do check that out before you end your day. And before we wrap up, Daniel, is there any last message we want to leave all our kids with today about the ranch or about sloths?
Yes. So just remember, guys, just as we learned before, sloths belong in the wild, right? They do not belong in the zoo. They do not belong in a house. These guys are really aggressive. So just like Jesse mentioned before, if you ever come across with a photo of someone holding a sloth, do not share it. Stop it right there. And remember that all these, the animals, the wild animals, belong in the wild. There's so many things to do. You can tell all your friends that sloths are aggressive. The sloths are cute, but we should keep our distance. And yeah, again, you guys can go to our website, and in there you can find many ways to help us. We also offer virtual classrooms and modules. So if you teachers are interested, you can send us in there an email, and we do a bunch of different field trips like ABC with sloths, learning colors and shapes with the sloths as well, and many other animals like toucans. So if you want to be part of our education program and learn about really cool facts about these animals, you guys can go ahead and also support us and keep saving animals' lives. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining today. It was a true pleasure and honor to be with you from Costa Rica.
Thank you so much, Daniel. And as you know how we end every broadcast, my favorite part of everything, Ms. Frahm, Mr. Backus, Ms. Johnston, Ms. Lewis, if you guys want to get all ready and excited, I'm going to bring you all into the broadcast to say a big thank you and goodbye. You are all in. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now, everyone.